Last year was the most intense, scary, and rewarding 365 days of my creative career. I got to work for my dream client. I worked on projects bigger than I ever thought I'd be able to. And I progressed from a midweight to a senior creative. But I also quit my full-time agency job to pursue freelance, and there was even a point where I considered quitting graphic design altogether. But with it being a new year and for many people a fresh start, I thought it would be the perfect time to reflect on that, what I'd learned, what I maybe would have done differently, and hopefully by sharing that, help you guys with your year ahead. Maybe you can think about things differently, or maybe just not make some of the same mistakes that I did. Hello, how's it going? Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Louis and I'm a London-based graphic designer. I've been working as a creative in the sports, entertainment and fashion industries for the last 6 years. Until recently, when I left my full-time agency job to pursue freelance along with content creation to help support and inspire those in the creative community. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my 3 biggest learnings over the last year, things I wish I knew before or someone had told me earlier. From how to land your dream client to some of those lonelier moments as a creative. If you have any questions or queries about anything I mentioned in today's video, then please comment down below and I'll reply to them as soon as I can. I'm also creating a Discord, so that should also be in the link down below. A place for creatives at any stage in their career to chat, connect, and share work with each other. So yeah, go and check that out, but more about that later. Let's get into our first learning, which is landing my dream client. And specifically why landing my dream client was one of my biggest milestones, along with one of the toughest challenges of my career. So many of you who have watched my videos probably know that I'm a little bit of a Nike fanboy. I mean, you can probably see from the amount of Nike bits on my shelf. Growing up being a football fan, it had a huge influence on football of that era, from the must-have Total 90s to the iconic TVC advertising. And growing from here and having such a huge creative presence in every subculture, it's no wonder why every graphic designer wants to have that little swoosh in their portfolio. I don't know why, it's kind of seen as a badge of honor, a sort of mark of where you're at in your career and sort of a benchmark on how culturally relevant your work is. So when the opportunity arose for me to have a chance at working with Nike, you know I was going to do anything possible to make sure I had the opportunity to do that. Now, for context, Nike was one of the clients that came into the building when our agency bought another agency. Obviously, that comes with its own teams, that comes with pre-existing relationships, and there are already designers that were assigned to that client. So for me, it was about pushing my way into that circle. I was going to get on there one way or another. I just need to figure out how. And I managed to do that in 2 ways. Number one was making myself known to the team. Sounds super obvious, I know, but obviously that was a new team. Why would they think of me or want me to work on a project when they have no idea who I am? They have no idea what I could do. Why would they trust me? So initially, it was really about connecting with those people, establishing those relationships, and sort of opening that channel of conversation to let them know, hey, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I can do. Providing ideas, thought starters, and just showing that I was really passionate about the projects they were working on. Luckily, most people on that account were super easy to talk to and super safe, so I made friends very quickly. You don't have to be so direct and sort of to the point about that. It could just be general conversations, grabbing them for a beer, a coffee, and just sort of having that conversation with them. If you're in a working environment, do not be scared to show people that you're passionate about working. This is something that should be encouraged in all industries, if you're freelance or if you're working in an agency. If you're going to be working as part of a team, you want to let that team know exactly what you're capable of, what you're passionate about, and what you really care about as a creative. If that team know, hey, this person is passionate about this job, they've shown an interest, that they're going to think of you the next time that they come to that project. Also, if there's something unique that you can offer to the job, maybe it's a skill that other members of the team do not have, let them know that. If you help them or make their job easier, naturally they're going to want to work with you. So be honest about your knowledge and let them know what you can bring to the table. Point number 2 is to offer to help in and outside of office hours. Now, I'm not one to promote working for free, and one of the biggest cons about working in an agency is you will be expected to work outside of your contracted hours on a regular basis, and that's often unpaid or very little in return. But sometimes you've got to weigh up what benefits you the most. For me, they had a Nike dance project and they needed some help with some of the animation. I do a lot of animation work, but I didn't have the capacity to work on that project during my working week as I was already on another client. So I said to them, you know what, give it to me and I'll do it over the weekend. I'll smash it out in the evenings, that sort of thing. And I did, and it helped them a lot. It meant that they didn't have to hire another freelancer. And that asset ended up being on the Nike London Instagram pages. It was in the Nike London store, but more importantly, it allowed me to get a foot in the door. Was it worth working unpaid on a weekend? Absolutely. because it interested me, it excited me, and it benefited me. So when the next project came along that they knew I liked, which ended up being a Pro Direct and Nike football job, I was straight on it. They knew I was passionate about it, they knew I was dedicated, and they knew that I was part of that target audience. This ended up being one of the most fun and exciting projects that I've ever worked on. Creating a pop-up fruit and veg stand in Brixton, packed with branded assets, posters, merchandise, fruit stickers. Like, I actually got a fruit sticker job. I learned so much about the process, and I pushed myself in a new field, which is experiential, that I hadn't really worked in too much before. Overall, I had such an amazing experience. I got to pitch to the clients. The clients were happy. The content looked sick. It was a cool one for the portfolio. And more importantly, I was firmly on that Nike design roster. They also invited me to a England game at Wembley, none of which would have happened if I hadn't gone and pushed my way in there, introduced myself, and kind of tried my hardest to work on one of those projects. It wouldn't have landed on my desk otherwise. This isn't just relevant if you're working in an agency or in-house. This is still relevant if you are a freelance creative. Sometimes you have to do a bit of outreach. Make the first move, drop a few people messages, whether that's through email or on Instagram. Ask about working together or show them some of your ideas, maybe box some stuff up. It might not always be successful, but you never know where it could lead, and it could open many doors for you. So learning number one, get your seat at the table, even if it means bringing your own chair. But as with everything in life, sometimes we get more than we bargain for. This next lesson is about navigating large projects, about biting off more than you can chew, especially when you're handling too much independently. You don't need constant support to make big things happen. It's part of growing as a creative, but knowing when to ask for help is just as important, even when we're determined to do all of it ourselves. Building on learning number one, I found myself on another Nike project, which just so happened to be the most challenging, the most exciting, but by far the biggest I've ever worked on. I just want to start off by saying the event was amazing. The content was sick, the experience was sick, the participants had such a good time, the clients were happy, and overall it was a massive success. However, this isn't a project I'm going to say I just breezed straight through, or, it was really hard, but I kind of managed it all okay in the end and it was all fine. Far from it. It was a mammoth. Tons of feedback, tons of changes, problems, fixes, solutions. A lot of you might be surprised if you haven't worked, in the industry before. I know a lot of people watching this are maybe at school or at college, about the sheer speed of which some of these projects are turned around. Huge events, millions of moving parts, months, weeks to turn it around. And as with anything that's like an in real life experience, everything has a lead time. So you need to be hitting those deadlines ASAP. And that's why communication is so crucial, because if that breaks down, everything else can start falling apart. So one of the biggest issues about this project is that roles and responsibilities were not clearly listed or stated at the start. These days, designer is a little bit of a blanket term. Responsibilities could drift far away from what we traditionally expect they would be for a designer. You're expected to wear many hats, especially if it's helping your team out, because you're all in this together and everyone's kind of trying to help each other out as much as possible. So for context, at the start of this project, I was responsible for the deck, the design elements, the ideation, the conceptual work, the write-ups, the moods, the materials, the zonal plans, the graphics list, client pitching, and feedback. Just the graphics list alone, I found quite overwhelming. I mean, look at the size of it. It was all too much for me. I ended up working late every day. I was extremely stressed, and I just wasn't enjoying myself. So I went from the excitement of, working with my dream client to really contemplating whether this job was for me. And that was something I found really difficult. And it's tough when you're in these environments. They're really, really high pressure. Everything feels like life or death, no matter how big or small it actually is. And if you let that get to you, sometimes it can really consume you. But zooming out, as the saying goes, it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle. With experience, I can see now that we were in fact too short-staffed. And if I'd actually just taken a step back and been like, whoa, looking at the whole situation here, I think we need more help. That support would have helped everyone on Men, not just me, but everyone working on that project, and would have made the whole thing 100 times smoother. I would have been stressed, no one else would have been stressed, and we would have had a lot better shot of making sure that everything was running super smoothly. In the creative industry, we often see asking for help as a weakness, but it's not. It's actually a sign of maturity, I think, as a creative. I think the fact that you're asking for help, maybe you get a little bit loss of ownership of the work, and we kind of take pride on doing everything ourselves, so I kind of understand that part. You can't do everything at once. Not well, anyway, without letting something slip. And this applies to all aspects of life, responsibilities, managing people properly, and delegating. Specifically delegating to people who are better than you, which is a bit of pill to swallow sometimes. This for me is all part of growing as a creative and stepping into more of a senior role. Leading the team and ensuring client satisfaction is the number one priority. So a big takeaway from me. Learning number two is do not be afraid to ask for help. It's a sign of maturity, not weakness. Cool. So growth as a creative doesn't just happen in a creative space. You need to embrace new roles and responsibilities, which can often feel quite uncomfortable. So for the third learning, I want to talk about transitioning from a midway agency role to a senior freelance creative and how to be uncomfortably ready to position yourself for success. We're going to break this down into 2 points. First one is the jump from midway to a senior creative and everything that entails. And then the second one is going to be moving from an agency or in-house to a freelance position. As mentioned earlier this year, I decided to do these both at the same time. Don't know why. Maybe I like the pressure. All I do know is got more grey hairs. At a midweight level, I was working independently with no issues. But for me, being a senior creative isn't about just working well independently. It's about working really well as a team. Of course, your work needs to be at a really high standard. You need to be efficient. You need to be able to bring a lot to the table and deliver your ideas well and on time. But at senior level, you're expected to help and support the rest of the team around you. You need to be the one that has the context and the person with the confidence to make those decisions. The key questions I asked myself during this transition was, am I confident enough to make decisions, lead a team, and work efficiently whilst guiding others? You don't need to have it all figured out, no one does, but as a senior, you need the confidence in your ability. You're not just responsible for your own work, you're also responsible for mentoring the team around you, setting the tone on how to get things done, and putting the systems in place for success. Since I worked on a lot of projects independently at my last role, as well as helping manage junior members of the team, I felt like I was really ready for this next step. As long as you're confident in your ability to lead when needed, you're in a good place to make this jump. And when it comes to making the jump from maybe your full-time agency job or just kind of diving into the world of freelance, my biggest advice would be prepared and be properly set up before you hand your notice in. Being completely honest, I'm not a massive risk taker. Maybe that's something that I need to work on, but stability for me is crucial. I have a place with my partner, I've got bills to pay, and I don't have rich parents to support me if everything goes south. Even though I was eager to pursue freelance design and content creation, which I'd done for years, it was kind of something I've been dreaming about doing. The fear of damaging that stability massively outweighed the desire to jump into something I was really passionate about. But that's just me. Maybe you guys are a bit more risky. What I did do though is make sure I had as much as I possibly could do in place and I was properly set up before I decided to pull the trigger and leave my full-time role. Of course, you're going to want your portfolio ready. You're going to want to make sure that you figured out your, finances, your taxes, all that boring stuff. But I really think you need to have some level of stability in that transition. And for me, that meant having a few side hustles that generated income. I've got my YouTube and socials, which bring in a little bit of income. And then I've got my freelance that comes from the social side as well. But that can be quite inconsistent. And I need something a little bit more regular just to have that kind of peace of mind that there was going to be enough money coming in to support my lifestyle. So I reached out to pretty much everyone I know in the industry and quite a few people that I didn't. And here's what I learned. Relationships are everything. If you've left a good impression on someone that you've worked with before, they're going to want to work with you again. And that's exactly what happened to me. I reached out to people I knew from previous agencies, people I'd worked with, just asking them if they needed any design support. I explained my situation, and thanks to those pre-existing relationships, I managed to land 4 months of freelance work. That was before doing any outreach or even having to send over an up-to-date portfolio. So something to think about if you're working agency side or if you're working as a freelancer. Are you leaving a good impression on the people that you're working with? Are you reliable? Are you easy to work with? Because there may come a time where someone that you've worked for before or someone that you've worked with will be hiring you. Also, don't be afraid to talk to people and make those connections. The industry is very small and works in circles. If you're known as someone who is reliable and trustworthy, finding regular work will become easier and easier. It has taken me years to get to this point, but it's something you should be thinking about from the second you start your career. So just to recap, the 3 main things to take away from today's video is 1, do not be scared to get your seat at the table. This is business as well as a passion at the end of the day, so you're very rarely given what you want, and sometimes you just need to go out there and try and take it. Number 2, asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. Understand what you're working on, what is needed, what does succeeding look like, and just as importantly, what does failing look like? What do I need to do to make sure that that doesn't happen? And number 3, always think forward. Be prepared and be reliable. Weigh up the risks versus reward before making any important decisions and think about how you carry yourself as a creative. Because the industry is small and word of mouth is the strongest marketing tool out there. I have learned so much in the last year and I feel like I've grown so much as a creative. And I'm extremely excited for all the challenges that I'm going to face in the next 365 days. What have you learned in the last year? What is something that you wish someone told you or something that you wish you had a bit more advice on before doing in your last year of working as a creative? I'd be really interested to know. So comment down below along with any questions about anything that I mentioned in today's video. I'll try and reply to them as soon as possible. Also, Also, the Discord link will be down below for you to continue this conversation, meet new people, and sort of keep asking those questions and hopefully make a few connections of your own in the industry. But that is it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. I'll catch you again soon with a new one. So take care. I'll see you in a bit.